Well, let's get more reaction, and I'm joined now by Benay Sager. He is the CEO of Debtbusters. Mr. Sager, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. Well, those that are possibly in the same bracket as I who are paying a mortgage, how soon are we going to start feeling the relief that we have long been hoping for?
After midnight tonight. So we will feel a relief, which is very welcome, as you say. We had the first signs back in September, 2 months ago. And yes, while it's only 25 basis points reduction this time around, much like September, when you add the two together, we are in a far better situation. And let's also not forget mortgages and most of the vehicles on the road are tied to the repurchase rate in terms of agreements. So we will feel the relief by the time we have to pay this month's payment. So I think that's very much welcome.
If you are severely indebted, is this slight relief room for you to start thinking of possibly adding more, or is this a chance for you to actually pay down all of what you owe?
I think, for everyone, it's different. The important thing is to know exactly what your interest rate is. And I think this is what we try to tell people. You are going to get relief for your mortgage. That's great. You are also going to get relief for your vehicle repayment. Often all the other debt, which actually makes up half of what we owe, which is mostly personal loans, those generally don't get immediately affected by rate cuts. They will in the long term. So I think the thing to do for consumers would be to start paying down your most expensive debt, meaning the one with the highest interest rate. So if you are getting a little bit of extra because of the relief that you got for your mortgage or for your vehicle, use that extra relief to pay down your personal loan or your credit card if you're owing money, or your overdraft. That would be our advice.
For those with appetite for credit, how sensible should they be?
I think credit is very important in life. I think without credit, as you also mentioned, if we didn't have mortgages, it would be pretty hard for us to own assets and ownership. And it could be a fantastic way to a better life if we use it wisely. I think the reality is that if you need credit to better your life, if you are investing in such as a home, if you're investing on your own education or your child's education, if you need to buy equipment for your business, if you need to get credit for a car to get to work so you can earn income, those are all great ways of using credit. What is not great ways of using credit is to use it for consumption-only purposes where in a month's time you will have forgotten what you used it for. So I think we must always use credit wisely. This could be a good time to look into getting a little bit cheaper credit than, let's say, a few months ago. It's not a bad time, but make sure that if you are borrowing, you're going to put it to use where you will earn more than the interest that you're paying on that credit.
Well, try tell that to people who are looking ahead to the December period, and that is usually spending time. In fact, in a few days' time, we probably are going to be seeing lots of people in stores. It is, what do they call it? It is, there is this phenomenon, Black Friday. Yes, someone has just whispered in my ear, Black Friday. How do you tell consumers to be cautious or sensible at a time like this?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult thing. We completely understand that every one of us is humans, and we have needs and we have wants. At the end of the day, it's been also a very long year. Now it's summertime, and after such a hard year, it is probably going to be okay for consumers to splash a little bit. At the same time, though, having said that, we also need to remember December and January, we must think of them as one long month. Usually you get about 6 to 7 weeks in between two paychecks. So just be very aware of those debit orders or debit checks that are going to be going off, and make sure you have enough cash. Don't spend all your money. And if you have to borrow, if you have to buy things on credit, then you really need to ask yourself, do I really need this? I think that's the main message. It's a difficult one because we also understand consumers' wants as opposed to their needs. But we must all be responsible and use the extra money that we might have to actually pay up our expensive credit, like we said, often personal loans and credit cards. So that would be our advice.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough one because the Reserve Bank governor, he seems to suggest that this is a cautious approach, this latest cut, meaning that we may not necessarily see yet more rate cuts. And so we have to be very responsible with our debt. I want to thank you very much for your time. Benay Sager is CEO of Debtbusters.